was saying for the battle for the top four is on. Now, interesting. It has turned out to be a top five in the EPL, and Obianim said this time, say can't teams ever qualify for the Champions League, or the Premier League, five teams need be you from the EPL. Now, say Tottenham Hotspur any team friend Manchester United. So, but I could be team born home at Europa League title no was San Mamesa. Na ba kwa ba beka ho na chese Premier League teams no the teams nkwa akoma ensia e wo the UEFA Champions League no next season ye betimi abonama bibia timi akoye no into the battle for the top 5 on na yenya two teams almost see akan between Chelsea and Boboko and Manchester United na yenim se Chelsea omu ewo the Conference League finals umbebo omo de Poland sanso na yinim se Bobo kwa na Manchester United nso no omo so the Europa Cup final San Mamés in Spain omo so ebebo na omo nyina na obi e prenity so we Chelsea omo pre omo ti se omo betimi anya Champions League spot na Manchester United de omo kro ma ho ode no for the game ebeba so in San Mamés. Now before this particular game no na Tottenham Hotspur ni di kan omo kobusi omo kan obi anim se ofatima ye friend Liverpool omo nyam omo de ofatima friend Arsenal omo ni Newcastle United bebo on Sunday at the Emirates ofa bobo kre friend Manchester City omo ebomo omo de against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final inti nya de se omo bia no bi atimi asi akan inti ene na a team ye friend no Tottenham Hotspur ena edi kan no omo enya the opportunity say omo na bisi akan ekane enti it was Tottenham any bobo krefen Aston Villa na dey see any at the Villa Park na obi anim say Aston Villa this season omo board the Champions League, the road to Allianz Arena no they were part of teams omo participate here no and they still want to be part of the Champions League team next season until omo ye everything possible to make sure say more than the omo but omo ye team with their consistency and no check omo last 8 games omo team we mako 7 show how they are poised and they want to be in the Champions League next season again because this season omo ko no obi omo the chance so omo beduru ba bi omo duru no but it take PSG in a team yom even PSG omo ne cry free no obi who say omo put in a fighter omo call as gallant losers into no ni idea Bobo Krefen Aston Villa na omo epese omo ye they want to be in the Champions League again and before the Chelsea versus Man United game no omo ni Bobo Krefen Tottenham Hotspur the team esi akan na omo anche ho kra omo she game na se na Brandt ya fe na Ezri Kosa omo center back na to be team sa right back no eto atene di kan 73rd minute na Brandt ya fe Boubacar Kamara and so at the second goal ne kan ho na chese before the start of the Chelsea versus Manchester United na chese Bobo Krefen Tottenham they already no more top 4 because of points on my team accumulating and omo de enokugo now the big game no etime ba so it was Stamford Bridge now before this particular game now medical can say these two teams are in European finals and they are hoping so obo betimi age omo major competition to add up to their cabinet. So okay, the two teams are almost here no. Chelsea and Manchester United in their last 14 games. Chelsea team winning back up. Inti no almost share one game very tough. 8 a draw and na Chelsea lose bobo kun mako 5 and on team winning back up. E Chelsea say Manchester United were upper hand when it comes to meeting Chelsea in their last 4 games. And again, what were Manchester United and Chelsea games? Na United team ball pa. No more than pa. And Pempi me the game I am at time when I said draw. Say magic bisia na ba ku new opportunity itim ewene. Inti a gamer in Pempi ni na me dem tie. E fa ne say draw and so ewo e honomo. But unfortunately ene Chelsea put up a stellar performance. Na omo de Chelsea omo na wo say secure the 3 match 1 points no just to make sure they go places. Inti almost started game no de nyame anim no kra nim ye. It was a boring game. Any game and now shall be cast when Niaje team I friend Man United with their usual 3 back no and on the buyer with Maguire, Mazrai, and then Luke Shaw, and on etimi at the buyer. Na game na nkasa na enye fe na wo hwede two attackers na omusi academy afenu no bi na chirel how both teams are lacking goals this particular season and how almost strikers no intimi man numbers see the numbers kasem ye rated the numbers game and the number debater obehu say mranti obiti say Rasmus Holland any one player obiti me rely on him, and today's game was evident. Chelsea started with Tarek George as number 9, and Tima Yefen Manchester United started as Abrante Yefen Rasmus Holland as their number 9. No creating me. So she game no na ekosona. Now bet ya see why both teams are struggling to make it to the top 5. Both teams are struggling to make it to the Champions League. A clear cut plan. Team now show purpose. Team are poised to win. Team are creative. Team are on the foot of play or the quality are also team they are winning. Obi in Manchester United. So show games on my bar. In their last 15 points, Man United they done 1 point bet, and that was a point against Bournemouth. Into Man United team we are much time and again say. So who pity mom who are doing? Who pity mom who bet me no abo? Who pity mom who bet me a pushy feather? To say me as savage or image a better position to say in the Premier League. The recent Manchester United Bobokuno, any team I rely on them. For Chelsea, in their last 15 points, Chelsea team at 12 points. Into a show how Chelsea are prepared and game one to Newcastle United there. And it's in James Park, a Lions then, a difficult zone for the big teams, and Urawa, there's no way you survive. So Chelsea losing to Newcastle United at the St. James Park, very, very normal. But near share how they make amends, and in the first half, it was a boring game. It wasn't the usual Chelsea game that you expect so much intensity, so much hype, so much pace, and that athleticism on the field of play. In the first half, few clear cut chances na ba way, and Holland, Bruno Fernandes, or share obiti say Nunin Madu Wiki, or for obiti say Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, Nami, who that creativity, that creative spark, that advanced zone, or mobiti me a BB opposition area. And when you met me akoyi. Now in the second half, one by another story didn't sign. But you saw Chelsea bumping forward. You saw Chelsea so move pushy. Now goalkeepers no near Jumaye BBB. No defense no near Jumaye BBB because already these are two teams are almost show attacking prowess so far as almost team in the concern. These are not two teams that Obeka say almost the guys to bang in the goals. Until more with the opportunity. They are not the real deal. Until no defense no near Jumaye BBB. On the field of play, it is said the Encounter expect to say, and you beat me akono. But in the second half, say Chelsea are raised or more dibunu, say Chelsea person muye bibi, and United are trying to manage your game, no, manage your players, no. So at a point, withdraw Casemiro and withdraw Mason Mount. Mason Mount after scoring 2 goals, the game boy against Bilbao, no. Now coach ni believe we say so Oni Abrante Bruno Fernandes that creativity now Man United are losing in Medford no obetimi ya, but unfortunately these are two guys they are boss to boss, they lack the creative spark, they don't take players on, they don't dribble, they don't give visionary passes until omo a link up midfielders omo drew 18 achia omo the eye to bang in the goals, but so was he in changing game omo the mirror pass. None of them never at the amount. But after the substitution of Mason, Mount, and then Abrante Feno, Carlos Henrique, Casemiro, no, and a Chelsea a bad game in the anche. And a Bobby Cooney fan faso, Tiboni Cooney fan faso, and Abrante Ekudi Abrante Feno Pedro Neto. So Pedro Neto release the ball in Mary James. Na nyamianim no credit me akwan regime fa so dane ne ho no na efekeke o dane ne ho 360 and o kele ball no in the midst of the United backline and Abrante Efe ne Marco Cuera ebe gremu ebe pin ball no to watenem na o hwe ba bi o de ball no to ya na efekeke o de ball no to ya 1-0 for Bobo Kwa Efe na Chelsea omo atese omo ne pese omo pe baby etimi see, and after that goal Chelsea still are try so omo be create omo nya chance Malo Gusto nya 1-on-1 quotation ho, and it really tells you how an Chelsea pese omo nya the 3 points no. Man United dey maka so omo protect omo leg no for the Europa League final on the field of play. Omo offer match, omo offer something special, and omo and Chelsea show omo put in a performance to equalize. It was the usual United defeat, and it looks as if gradually under coach FN Ruben Amorim, defeat ever be a part of them. 7 months in 16 position, and yet the team Manchester United, and yet the United, and the earlier they wake up from their slumber, the better. Game no is still all to play for, and now they say you better say game no still matches a car, medical Manchester City, and Arsenal games on mobile. But after games on mobile weekend, games are canon, so your games are no shit. Now, and no so be a determining factor. I bet you a bit me actually teams are almost beating me at Champions League, and at the battle for the top 5, teams are almost beating me. Let's not forget Chelsea Beko the City ground against Nottingham Forest. It drew the finishing point, Nottingham Forest are but that is a difficult game. Chelsea are there so much Manchester United, but a good result for them. Ebema obo problem so at omo destiny no omo nsem, and we are hoping that omo betimi akwakoye bibi. Aston Villa beba Old Trafford against Manchester United. That is a difficult game. Aston Villa ebeko Old Trafford, and Newcastle United better fi actually team your friend Everton. Into omo bo home I don't think so omo issues baby. And team your friend Manchester City will stay at home against team your friend Manchester City, and Fulham nebebo Craven Cottage for their last game. Obi himself on Tuesday, Man City ne bomb of nebebo. Omo via that on Sunday, omo Fulham bebo Craven Cottage. Teams no omo bo home there. They have their destiny in their own hands, and omo we near they are good to go. They will cement their place, and they will be part of the Champions League this season. Mean to me nko Abraham Marco Kuyera Abaso. The guy has had a devastating form, and he just an unsung hero within the Chelsea team. So, players are not probably consider almost for the player of the year. In as much as Moise Caicedo has been consistent, Marco Kuyera has been phenomenal this season. Football is funny. After Brighton, na game in Koye, United, the European Championship changed everything. And the guy is just unsung. The guy is just unreal, and the guy is just unplayable. Half time, watch a kind of far to go, and you clap for Branty Ferry Marco Kuyera. Good game for Chelsea. Chelsea all over the place, and they are now announcing their presence to be in the Champions League next season. The Blues, they fairly arrived, and meaning said next week on meeting against Nottingham Forest. Normally they are 70. We need them in the Champions League. You hear Chelsea, you hear Man United. We want to see all the big guys in the Champions League. But for now, it is Chelsea, and we need to clap for Chelsea for the performance of putting up against Manchester United. And my room fees our best subscriber. We are no stream. Now I share. Now my union sweat me. Good night. I'm out.